Layer positions and relationships. Combining two people to create a scene entails more than just placing them on the same background. You've got to work out the relationship between them and position them to tell a story in the best way. The images depict a couple. They may share the same space, but the reader gets no hint of how they may interact. By varying their position and rescaling one relative to the other, we can make their relationship more interesting and clearer. Let's take a look at what we have in our layers panel. We have a hand, we have a man, we have a woman. The hand is kind of floating in space, but we'll take care of that later. First thing is we're going to create smart objects of all of these layers. So right-click and choose Convert to Smart Object for the hand, for the man, and for the woman. Next, we'll put these all in a folder. So I pressed Shift and I already had woman selected. So when I pressed Shift and clicked hand, it selected all three. I'll just click the folder icon to make a group and we'll name that group 1. Now let's set up a canvas because we're going to make 8 different scenes of this happy couple. Or maybe they're happy. Let's find out later. So I'll go to File and New. And let's go to Default Photoshop Size. That'll be fine. All right. To make this easier on ourselves, we'll press Command 0 to show the entire canvas. I am going to go to View and Guides, and let's set up a guide layout. And I'll start from scratch here. Okay, so I'm gonna click on, we want columns. We'll do 4 columns and 2 rows. And then some kind of gutter in between them will be handy. It's not super critical what the number is. It just needs to be a little bit of space in between. And same for margin. And then hit OK. All right. And so now we have 8 different spaces where we can put our different scenes. So I'm switching back to position layers. And this is kind of the tricky bit. And if you don't get this right on the first time, don't feel bad. I'll try to walk through slowly and then try to do this. But like I said, if it doesn't work for you on the first try, don't get frustrated. What we'll do is we're going to drag this group into the new file. So I'm going to drag this onto that tab, and then the tab will switch over to our new document. Once it does that, you want to drag down into the canvas. Here's what's going to happen if you drag onto the tab. It doesn't work. And it's wanting to do something odd. So let's cancel out of that. So here's what we'll do instead. Take the folder, drag it to the tab, wait for it to change, go into the canvas, and drop it there. All right. Now it looks like our couple is a little too big to fit in this box that we've sized for them. So with this number 1 group selected, let's just do our first free transform. So I'll press Command or Control T, the free transform, and then we'll just make them so they fit in that box a little more nicely. We need to put numbers in the corner. So I'll open up our group, I'll select the hand, and then I'm switching to the type tool. And then I'll just go over to this corner here and I'll type 1 and we can change the color. And we can change the font to bold, whatever you like. Let's see, maybe a little bigger. There we go. All right. And then if it's not in the correct position, we can change to the move tool and then make sure 1 is selected and just kind of position it where it might be better. All right. So we have our number in the corner and we have our first scene, but it looks like we need to make a few changes to this to make it work. So for the first scene, simply moving them together so that they overlap helps establish a link between them, perhaps a close relationship. By flipping the woman horizontally, both figures are now angled toward the center and face each other. So first thing we'll do is that extra hand is not in this picture, so let's just click on the eyeball to hide it. And we want to flip the woman, so we'll do that by clicking on the woman, and then I'll go to Edit, Transform, and Flip Horizontal. There we go. Now we need to actually move her up because she's a little bit in front of the man here. So there we go. We'll move her that way. And then their feet probably need to be on the same level, so we'll also move her down a bit. And then we'll move her closer to him so they're overlapping. And then sometimes it's tricky to move with the mouse, so I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard to get them closer together. If we want to position them so they're kind of more centered in this box, we can do that. The woman is selected, I'll shift-click the man, and then we'll just move them so they're kind of more centered in the box. That's our first scene. So for scene 2, what we'll do is duplicate this group. So we can do that a few ways. One way is we just drag this to the plus icon, and then we can rename this to, I'll show you a different way next time. And we'll open that up, and you know what? It's not in the right position, is it? We need to move it into the right position first. That'll make it a lot easier. Okay. So I'm going to close out of that, and notice I have auto select not turned on. So that's important for this assignment. So that means when we select something in the layers panel and we want to move it, it's just going to move that. All right, so that's now in a better position. All right, let's fix that. Okay, so click on the T and rename that as 2. And let's see what we have to change. These images are fairly similar, but on position 2, there's the extra hand. So I'll turn that back on, and that hand is not in an appropriate location. So let's move that somewhere where it should be. So kind of in the small of our back there. So I'll just move that up there, and that's looking pretty good. And I just used my arrow keys once again on the keyboard to kind of nudge it in place a little better. All right, so let's move on to the next scene. Enlarging the man and bringing him toward the front, perhaps in a more dominant, perhaps even protective role. Okay, so let's duplicate this group again, but using an old familiar keyboard shortcut that we're used to, jumping things to a new layer. So I'll press Command J, and it just works. I'll rename the group 3, and then we'll drag that over. And I'll open up the 3, and we'll change the number in there. Okay, and we actually won't need the hand for any of the other positions, so we can safely delete it at this point. I'll click on the hand and then press the trash key. And then it'll ask me, do you want to delete the layer hand? Yes. I don't want to see that. So what I'll do instead is drag this to the trash can. Bam. And then we don't get that little warning. All right. So we're going to move the man on top of the woman there. So he's in front. We need to make the woman in the back a little smaller because she's a bit of a distance from him. And we're going to move her up on the canvas. So I'll press Command T to free transform because I have the woman selected. And then we'll just transform her. And maybe we'll move her up a bit so the top of their heads kind of line up. Now she's covering up the number. So what I'll do is I'll commit to that. And then we'll move them down. So I selected with Shift the woman and the man. And there we go. So let's see what the next scene is. So scene 4, placing the two figures further apart creates more distance between them, both physically and emotionally. Perhaps the relationship is now confrontational. Oh my gosh, so much drama. So once again, we'll duplicate layer 3, Command J, and we'll rename that as 4, and then we'll move them over. Okay, let's open that up and change the number there. And now we need to move them apart. So I'll move the man over, and then we'll move the woman over. And it looks like they need a little bit more space between themselves. So I'm going to move her over some more until there's more white space between them. And then we're going to need to transform both of them. So I'm going to hold down Shift and select the man, and then press Command T. That way they'll both transform together. And then we'll just resize them so they fit in that box again. Scene 5. Now the tables have been turned. It is the woman who is in the dominant position. Perhaps she wears the pants in the relationship? Okay, sorry about the dated language on that one, but yeah, that's kind of funny. So once again, we'll jump this group to a new group with Command J, and I'm going to move it to our new position down here. Then we'll change the number, and let's see. So the man needs to be smaller now, so I'll transform him. The nice thing about having these as smart objects is it doesn't matter if I'm transforming up or down. It's still going to be the same quality. So even though we're changing them quite a bit in this assignment, it's not going to look blurry at the end. So our image 8 is just going to be as sharp as image 1. So that's one of the advantages of using smart objects. And as you know, I'm a smart object evangelist. He's smaller now. Now we need to make the woman larger. So she'll appear in front of him. And let's see, so free transform. I will move her kind of in a better place there. And then we'll make her larger. Oh, and she also needs to be in front of him. So I will drag her up on that in the layers panel. Just reposition the man a little bit so he's closer. Scene 6. When the man is tucked in behind the woman and flipped so that he is partially obscured, the dominance of the woman over the man is strengthened. I will jump this group to a new group, and we'll title that as 6, and then we'll just move them over. We'll change the number, and on this one, we want to flip the man. I'm going to show you a new technique to flip the man rather than going to edit and transform. We're going to do a free transform, but then we're going to take a look at something here. If we look at our width and height, they're both set to the same percentage. However, if we put a negative sign in front of the width percentage, that will do exactly the same thing as flipping. And then we'll tuck him in a little bit so that he's where he should be there. And maybe we transform and make him a little smaller. Oh, right. Looking good. Scene 7. Flipping the man and the woman away from each other distances the relationship metaphorically. Once again, Command J to jump the group to a new group. And then we will move them into position. Open up the group and change the number. We just want to flip the woman. Okay. So we'll use that technique we learned before. Command T. And then notice she has a negative sign in front of her already. So what we'll do is we'll just remove that negative sign. And then we'll move her over to the side and move the man. We'll have to resize him because he is not tiny. They're all on the same level. They're just pointing out to the sides. And once again, we need to move them a little further apart so they can exist kind of in their own space. And I'll shift click to select the man and the woman together. And then we'll do a transform and so that they fit in the box a little better. Okay, so for the last most controversial scene, scene 8. Perhaps the man prefers a mini version of himself over having a relationship with a woman, as in mini-me. Okay, well, let's make this fantasy a reality. So we will once again jump this number 7 to a new layer, title that as 8, and then we're going to delete the woman. And then, we need to move it in position first, goodness. All right, so we'll move the man, the lonely man by himself. He's not gonna be lonely for long, though. We'll give him someone. So we'll take the man, we'll move him in place. And then we can make him a little larger. There we go. Then we'll jump the man to a new layer, and then we'll call that mini-me. And then we will transform that. First, we'll make them smaller, and we'll keep their feet at the same level. So he goes about like that. And then we'll use our trick where we just remove the negative sign in front of the width. All right, and look at that. Perfect. We'll just move them more to the center of the frame there. And we need to change our number to 8. Once we're done, we don't need all these smart objects. Just click on the folder or on the group and then Command E. Alrighty, and what that does is that makes a transparent image for each of the positions. And so if we click on the background to temporarily remove it, you see, it's still transparent. So we could put a different background for these folks. So we don't want to see white in each of these individual layers. And then you'll submit this file and we'll see how you did. I'm looking forward to seeing your work.